let's move on to the program of the day. And Gina, I apologize because I thought Chris might be here, but she's not. So if it's okay with you, I will do the introductions.
Fine
and as many of you know, we have an organization in San Miguel de Allende that takes care of things that need to be taken care of when the Grim Reaper shows up. And it's really wonderful peace of mind to know that I'm trying to put this delicately, that your final resting place is pretty much taken care of. You know, it's one thing when you pass away in the United States, but if you are an American, an expat, or Canadian that should happen to pass away in Mexico, things get a little bit more complicated. And this organization takes care of all of that. And so, Gina, I hope I got the spelling of or the pronunciation of your last name right. It's Gina Giampaoli, correct? Did I get that right?
It's very good. It's better than the most. Giampaoli, that's good.
And Gina's with the 24 Society in San Miguel, 24-hour society. So Gina, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, and buenos dias. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me. First of all, it's the 24-hour association. Everybody calls it either the club or society or gives it another name, but it's the 24-hour association. And I'm going to share my screen. I prepared a PowerPoint for you guys. And I'll give you a little background. Most of you probably already know. I think I see some faces and names that I already seen are interested in joining or have already joined. And I'll tell you what the association does, what we do. And after the presentation, ask me any questions that I may be able to help you answer. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen first. And everybody hears me okay? I'm hoping. Yes? Everybody hears me okay? Okay.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So 24 Horas de San Miguel de Allende, that's the legal name. It's 24 Horas de San Miguel de Allende, AC. But it's widely known as the 24-hour association within the foreign community in San Miguel. It was founded in 1965 by foreigners in San Miguel. It's a nonprofit, legally registered Mexican association. It's Associacion Civil, what it's called. And it provides prepaid plans of cremation and burial services that fully comply with Mexican law. Why is it called the 24-hour association? I've been asked, and because people think that everything's done within 24 hours, everything's taken care of within 24 hours, and that's not it. It's because at the time of its creation, Mexican law required that burials be done within 24 hours of death, and it's no longer true, but the name stayed. So what we do is, upon the death of a member, a phone call to the executive secretary, and that would be me, initiates the process to carry out the wishes of the members as set forth in their membership application. The process includes disposition of the body according to the member's wishes, and that would be on the application form. And I contact the family and friends if there is no one else to do so. If they want me to call family in either the United States or Canada or wherever the member is from, you don't have to be from the United States or just Canada. You can be from anywhere else living in San Miguel, even Mexicans who live in San Miguel who don't have families. Usually, it's not very common that we have Mexicans, but we do. And usually they're from other parts of Mexico. And we also provide assistance in arranging the funeral services as requested, registering of death Mexican authorities, and supplying a Mexican death certificate to appropriate survivor or executor. I also perform a report of death of U.S. citizens. I can only do this for U.S. citizens because we have a consulate here in San Miguel. So I can go to the consulate and I report the death. And I also apply for US death certificates if they are needed by survivors or like an executor who will need to deal with any assets that are left in the United States and need to be dealt with. So what type of services are offered and the costs? So the membership fees are quoted in US dollars and can be paid by US check or Canadian or Mexican, also in cash, Mexican pesos or US dollars. Of course, with the conversion of the US dollar and Mexican peso exchange rate at the time of the payment. Or you can also do a bank-to-bank transfer. We do not accept PayPal nor credit card payments. The cremation, which is the basic service that we offer, is 900 US dollars. It includes the cremation and an urn for the ashes, of course. We give the ashes and the urn to a resident in San Miguel or to a family member for local pickup. Now, sometimes people like to have their ashes shipped to the United States, and we can definitely help with the process of having that done. And we can send them to the United States, Canada, or wherever you wish your ashes to be sent to. However, you will be charged for that extra fee, or the family or the survivors will have to pay that extra charge of the shipping before the ashes are shipped. A note here is that when they are to be shipped to the United States, specifically, they need to be sealed by the US consulate. The ashes are taken to the consulate by our funeral home that we work with. And they need to be sealed, and there is a stamp that goes with it and a letter that explains that it is for sure ashes and not drugs that are being shipped to the United States. So that's an extra step that needs to be taken care of, but that is a free service that is given. The consulate doesn't charge, and the funeral home doesn't charge an extra fee for that, because that's something they usually do when it's requested. So the next option is a cremation with a niche. And that means that besides the cremation and the urn, the niche is interned into a nicho at the Panteón de Guadalupe. The Panteón de Guadalupe, if you're not sure where that is, it's the cemetery that is located between Real de Minas on Salida Celaya and the convention center. That's the cemetery that is located there. And the 24-hour association has a section for it. We have a section of our own for our members. And if you haven't been there, you go into the Panteón, and it's all the way to the back, to the left, in a gated area. Right now, you can't visit. Visiting is restricted at the Panteón because of the pandemic, and it's not open to the public. So the niches are all the way to the back in that section. And the ashes are placed in the nicho. And there is a plaque that can be placed, that is placed in the nicho with your name and your dates inscribed. And that's that's what's included in the $1,500 US cost. Then we have the burial in a crypt. Burial in crypt is not a burial in ground. This is above ground. And the cost is $1,500 US, which includes a casket, the crypt space, interment in that crypt, and of course the inscribed plaque. We have the burial in grave, which is underground, the ground burial. And it's the same cost, $1,500 US. And of course, it includes the casket, the plot, interment, and the inscribed headstone. So you're wondering, how can I join the 24-hour association? What do I do? Well, there are several ways of joining the association. You can either visit our webpage and click on the Contact Us tab, and I can show you to go through after the presentation, the PowerPoint, I can show you the web page and show you where that tab is. And you click on contact and you can send me an email, or you can just email directly, right? The email association, 24-hour association at gmail.com. I check the email daily and I get back to you as soon as I can. Or you can also call my office number is 415-121-0010. And all this information that I've been giving you is also on the webpage. So that's the end of the presentation. And I'm going to show you the webpage. When you click on the 24-hour association webpage, you find all these tabs here. You have home, and this is basically the information I just gave you on the PowerPoint. The section where you can click for the application, you can download the application by clicking, and it's a PDF form. You can't fill it online. You have to download it and print it and complete it by hand. If you prefer to use your word processor, you can email me and ask me, Gina, please, I'd rather do this on my word processor, and I'll email you the word format of the application, and you can complete it on your in your word processor, and then you can email it to me. You have the next annual general meeting information. We haven't had one because of COVID. We are planning on having a general meeting this year. We haven't set a date yet. We have the information about the history of the 24-hour association. You can read about a little bit more in-depth information. Specials gives you information about who's on the board, who are not the members, but who's on the board. Right now, in case you're wondering, we have 600 plus members in the association. I want to let you know who is on the board of the association right now. We have our president currently is Vadna Sue Gerhardt. Many people know her just like Sue Gerhardt. Our vice president is Patricia Ann Frey, or Pat Fry, and myself as executive secretary. Our treasury is Martha Speck Frazier. A lot of people know her, Marty. And we also have Judith Chaikin, Willa Kligerman, Stephen Moe, Melanie Nance, and Nancy Schleit. So you can also contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab. And that's if you want to request information, you write your name in, your email, your cell phone, how did you find out about us, and what you want, but your comments like, Gina, I need you to please send me information or an application form, or what do I need to do, how do I pay, etc. Of course, there is a code that you'd have to enter to make sure that you're not a robot. So that is our webpage. I'm going to show you the application form just so you get an idea of what you'd be completing in the form if you choose to sign up with the association. At the top, you would have to write clearly, please, your full name. The service requested is either a cremation or cremation in niche, or what you check on page 2. I'll show you what page 2 says. So the information that we request, there is a section where I make clear that if you choose to leave the association for reasons like maybe you're leaving San Miguel, you can't be part of the association anymore. Or maybe sometimes our members die outside of the United States and they need the family needs reimbursement. We reimburse minus a $200 administrative fee based on the original peso amount of the payment that was done at the beginning. And the refund will be done and converted at the exchange rate on the day of the refund payment. So you need to sign and have a witness and date. There is a required information that you need to provide along with copies of your passports for the application. It is important that we have the information of a local doctor in San Miguel, because that would be the doctor that we would have to contact, or will be contacted at the time of the person's death. We also request the information of your friends. Here is the information of the people I would have to call, or family members that I contact to let them know of the member's death. And also someone who lives in San Miguel, because we need to have a local contact. Maybe the person who would have to receive your ashes if you choose to have a cremation. Here is where you choose, or you pick what service you're requesting. So it could be a burial or a cremation, burial and grave. You check one of these, and that would be the one, the wording for the top first page. Remember, I told you I would tell you what to write here, service requested. Well, that's what you write in there, one of these services that you picked. So I don't want to bore you with the application. You can look at this if you download it yourself. But there is also quickly this information on in the last 2 pages. This is optional. However, a lot of people like to give us this information just as a backup to give to survivors. Your will, who you're leaving your assets to, or who to contact if you need your executor to be notified, etc. Instructions. Again, this is optional information. We don't need to know this. If you give this to somebody you trust, perfect. Member resignation procedure at the end. And I also included a fake check to make sure that the checks are written out. If you pay by check, they're written out in Spanish to 24 Horas de San Miguel de Allende, AC, because a lot of times people think that if they write 24-hour association in English, it'll be fine. And, you know, Mexican banks are very picky, and it has to be all written in the same ink color. So that's that. So I'll stop sharing.
Well, good morning, Gina. I'm Nori, contractor. I'm going to help. With the questions. We have a few questions online, and I want to take this opportunity to remind our guests and all of our members to type questions in the chat. Your presentation was extremely complete and very thorough, but we still have a few little questions.
Sure.
So one question is, it says here by someone, we joined years ago. How can we update our information?
Mm-hmm. Your information, you can email me. You can email me that information. If it's just a few things that I can write down on your application form, I have all the applications of all the members. So I make a file for each one. You email me that information and I write it into your application, or I can print it and include it into your application. Or if you have a lot of information that needs to be changed, you can download the application and rewrite on it. Right at the top of your application, update, date it, and then send it to me. You can either email it to me or you can drop it in our mailbox at Solutions on Calle Recreo. Our mailbox is 41B. And it's also on the application form. It says where we pick up. I pick up mail once or twice a week. So you can do it that way.
Excellent. I'm going to go on to the next question. Why is it a good idea to join the association? And are there complications to send a body back to the U.S.?
Why is it good? Because we take care of everything as far as I act as a family member. I have the power to sign on the Mexican death certificate. Otherwise, you have to get someone from your family to, like a next of kin, to sign off on the death certificate. And we are the only one who were given that possibility since the association started. We're not in competition with anybody. This is a nonprofit. So of course, do your research and see what's the best choice for you. But it's peace of mind on your end and your family's for your family. Is it difficult to or complicated to ship a body? If you're talking about a full body, like a casket, it's possible. It's done. We've done it in the past. It's not very common. There is an extra fee, but that is dealt directly with our funeral home because we can't estimate the amount or the total payment of that service now. Okay, so it just occurred to me that it is a good idea for you to sign up with a 24-hour association because what you pay right now for the service is honored in the future. Just the service, not shipping of remains anywhere. But the service stays and is honored to the cost that you paid. We've had members that signed up maybe 10, 15 years ago, even 20 years ago, and they paid, I think maybe at the time they may have paid like $500 for the service. And if they die today, we're not going to charge any extra. Even though prices go up every year and our funeral home charges us every year a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. We're not charging any extra to our members. So I want to think of it as a locked-in.
Speaking of the death certificate, one of the questions is, why is the doctor's name necessary on the application? Is it for the death certificate?
Yes, it is for the death certificate. The funeral home that we work with, and we worked with from the very beginning, which is Inhumaciones Lopez, is one of the oldest funeral homes in San Miguel. They are located on Mesones, if you want to know, is the funeral home with all the candles that you can see when you walk by, up going towards Bonanza. They, or in this matter, for this matter, any funeral home needs it. When they go to the house or the hospital to collect the remains, they need a certificate of death from the doctor. Otherwise, they can't apply for the process of a Mexican death certificate. That's one of the documents that are taken to the Registro Civil, which is the registrar here, and along with the passport of the person who died, because we also need to prove that that's the person who died, and to get the correct name and information from that person.
Excellent. We have a very interesting question here. Can you let us know the major differences between your organization and Jardines Nueva Vida?
I don't know their services. I don't know what they offer. I know that they started offering similar services, but again, we're not in competition with them, so I'm not finding out what they do or how they do it or what their costs are. Sorry, I can't answer what the differences are.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So what funeral service do you use for cremation and burial? What location?
So, all right. So one difference that I do know about Jardines is Jardines has their own crematorium here in San Miguel. Lopez, even though they're one of the oldest funeral homes in San Miguel, they don't have their own crematorium. They've been working with the crematorium in Celaya. So our members, bodies who are to be cremated are taken to Celaya. Rarely they are taken to Jardines, but Jardines doesn't do it often for us. They have their own service and they have a different charge. I believe they charge less, but because our funeral home has to go to Celaya to do it, you know, it charges a little bit more. We go to Inhumaciones Lopez takes care of everything, and they are very dependable, very professional. They're very lovely people. I have a lovely family to work with. There was something I was going to say about that. Oh, I don't know. You also have me. I'm totally bilingual, whereas in Jardines, I don't know if you get that total bilingual assistance.
Yes, you are very bilingual. Thank you. It's very helpful. Someone wants to know if they could have a crypt in the general section of the cemetery, and if not, why not?
Okay, so for our members, we have that space reserved. If you want a crypt outside of the cemetery, I guess we could do that, but you'd have to pay every 5 years to have your remains in. That's the difference about being buried in the general area of the Panteon in San Miguel. And you'd have to have a contract with the Panteon itself for having your remains there. Whether you're in a crypt, I believe, or in a nicho or buried, you have to pay every 5 years to keep your remains there. With us, there is not, we don't pay that. Your body stays there and you don't have to worry after you're dead that you have to be paying or somebody has to be paying to keep your remains in there.
Okay, so does the interment include a vault in the ground or just the casket?
It's the casket. But I'm not sure what do you mean by a vault in the ground. Is that?
I'm not sure either, but since our president asked that, I'm sure he's happy to elaborate.
Please do.
Yeah, well, just about every internment that I've seen, and that's been here in the United States, you always buy part of the purchase of the burial is buying a vault. It's it's a very, very large container that the casket fits in, and it goes in the ground.
Well, that's a very interesting question, and I will have to write it down and ask my funeral director, and I definitely ask and email you somebody who can share this information back, but I don't know. I want to say no, because we're not as advanced in Mexico as in the United States, perhaps. I think it's just, on the ground, but no.
Right.
No
I know it seems a little bit macabre to ask the question, but
I'm used to it.
When you go to the funeral home here, they kind of sell you on the idea that, well, now this particular vault, which they're generally made out of, I believe they're made out of iron or some big heavy metal, will protect the casket from decaying, as if anybody would really care anyhow. But I guess it's that peace of mind. So anyhow, okay.
Well, it's a good question, and thank you. And I just keep on learning every day with this job. So I will ask the funeral director. I'll find out. But I have a feeling that no, there's no vault.
I think in some places in the U.S. either. I think it depends on different states. I lived in Florida most of my life, and I've never seen a vault. So we have another question. What if I'd like to have my ashes interred at a different place in SMA, example, Iglesia Santa Ana?
Okay, so you would have to contact the Iglesia Santa Ana to tell them that you want your ashes placed there, but that would be a cost that you would have to pay with them. For example, you would choose your cremation and urn, which is the $900 US, and then separately you'd have to have that contract with the church.
Excellent. Does the 24-hour association have a doctor that can sign the death certificate for one that does not have a doctor in SMA?
No, it would be impossible for one person to take care of how many people wanted to have that doctor. It has to be a doctor that knows health history, the person's health history. Sorry, we don't.
Okay, and let's see. Oh, can you mention if your association helps with advance directives?
No, we don't. We don't do anything that is legal. No legal.
Okay. That was another chat we had with the other association. Okay.
That's why it's always important that you already have someone in mind, that you already have an executor. And some people have executors here in San Miguel and others in the United States or what your country of origin. So they can take care, you have somebody take care of your things here and over there.
Excellent. Gary, you had your hand up earlier, and as a past president, we're going to let you not type in your question, but speak your question. Go ahead, please.
It's too complicated, so I couldn't write it in. So Gina, we are just about have our applications finished, and we'll be contacting you soon. So the question is, in our Mexican wills, you cannot bequeath anything to other than family members or you hit a huge tax consequence. So we have people in San Miguel that we want to leave money. Can we just put that in our application so that our executors know what we want to do?
You can, if you already told this to your executor, and make sure that your executor knows all of your wishes, but you want to make sure that we have that information as well in case somebody forgets what your wishes are, or they misplace your instructions. You can also provide me that information, and I will keep it in your file. When the time comes, I say, well, this is what Gary said. Gary Peterson said that this needs to be done, and I'll give that information to the person who is in charge at the moment of your remains or your, your personal assets.
We'll be contacting you soon.
Very good. Okay, Gary, I'll be expecting your call.
And Gary, Sharon and I want to thank you for including us in your last will and testament. We appreciate that.
I don't think he heard you. Now he got it. He got it. Okay. I don't see any other questions from members, but I did see earlier that, of course, everyone wants to make sure that we post your contact information and, of course, your website. So we are going to ask our wonderful secretary, Ron Felton, to do us a favor and post that where they can. Today we are on live streaming service. That should be working out very well for folks that didn't join us directly on the call here. Skip, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Gina, I have one question that, and we may be going back a little bit here, but one of our guests today wanted to have you take us through the steps. What happens if a member dies?
Okay.
What's the first thing you do?
Okay. Well, because you will have, as a member, you will have your membership cards. After I process your application, I make membership cards for all of our members. And both sides are one side is in English and one side is in Spanish. And you are to have one with you at all times. And the other card, you place it on your refrigerator or somewhere you know everybody's going to see it. I also provide a letter with information in Spanish and also another one with English. So your friends, your workers, your Spanish speakers who may not speak any English or don't know about your arrangements. Very important. Tell everybody you know about your arrangements with the 24-hour association. So this sheet of paper has the numbers of who to call at the time. And it expressly says not to call the police. The person who finds the person who's dead will call the emergency cell phone number. I have the emergency cell phone number with me at all times. So I'm the one who answers. If I'm in the shower, I'm sorry, I'm not going to answer, but there is a second call, second number to call, which is the funeral home. I give the funeral home all of our information. They know who our members are and what to do. So, okay, so the call is done. I answer the phone. So-and-so, such person passed away. I contact the funeral home and I tell them where the person is located and to collect the remains. The person who is with our member who has passed should have a passport at hand, their passport at hand, and the signed document by the doctor ready to go. The funeral home comes in within an hour or so. Sometimes they give it a little more time because maybe there is family there who wants to spend time with their beloved. And then the process begins. If the person wanted to be cremated, they take the body to Celaya to be cremated. If the person wants to be buried, then it's prepared to be buried, etc. In the meantime, we get the Mexican death certificate. I sign off on the papers to get the Mexican death certificate, and then that is, if it's ashes that were requested, the ashes are given to the person who is left in charge in San Miguel, along with the death certificate. Or if it's an American citizen and they they need to be reported to the U.S. consulate, and I take the Mexican death certificate and the passport to the U.S. consulate in San Miguel to make the report of death. If American death certificates are requested, I do that as well. I request the death certificates to be sent to whoever is in the United States and needs those American death certificates. And it's pretty much straightforward from there. It's what is requested in the application form.
Thank you. Other question is, do you have an option on options on the urn or the casket? Do you get to be able to select?
The urn is wooden urn is what we have in the contract. If you want something that is more like a ceramic urn or a little fancier, you can let me know that, and I can show you photographs, or the funeral director can be in touch with you, and you can select the urn that you prefer.
Right.
And that would be an extra cost, and you would.
Right.
It would be best to just pay them directly, or you could pay us the extra and we'll pay them. We would talk about. Same with the casket. The casket is, what would be the word to say? It's a normal casket, nothing fancy. But if you want something more than what it's offered within the contract, then you would have to tell me about it, and we would be in touch with the funeral home, and then we can go through that process.
All
but
right.
that would be an extra cost.
Gina, David Bossman here. How are you?
Hi, David. How are you?
I still got to get, I still have to get you my doctor's name.
Yes.
A simple question. I don't know if I missed it. Doesn't the coroner have to come to the home at first when, as a representative of the government, to make sure that everything is in order? I remember years ago when our own Merle Howard died, and I was called to the house, and the coroners were just coming out with the body. Could you just clarify that? Because you said that the funeral home comes first.
The doctor has to be there first to sign off on the death certificate, and the funeral director or the representative from the funeral home has to show up after the doctor has been there. They can't remove the body from the home or the hospital or wherever the body is without that certificate from the doctor.
Okay, so then I understand it better. If a person doesn't have a particular doctor mentioned, then the coroner will come as a representative. Is that correct?
The coroner would probably have to show up. I think it's only when there is an accident or there has been a violent death.
Okay.
All right.
I think that's when the government intervenes. But otherwise, it's just a doctor. If there is no doctor, and it has happened, but it makes it very complicated because we have to rush to find somebody who will be able and willing to as a doctor, to go in and sign off. But a doctor who knows you will know your health history and will be able to pinpoint the cause of death than any other doctor who just, okay, so what's wrong?
Okay.
What was wrong, right? That's why we need a doctor. Otherwise, we will find somebody at the last moment if it's needed, or the family will have to find somebody at the last moment who will be.
Okay. If my wife kills me, they'll send a coroner.
Right.
We have one other question that I think is quite interesting. So is it legal to carry out ashes out of the country in one's suitcase?
You run the risk of being stopped, and they might think that you're smuggling drugs. That's why if you're going to another country, you might not have any trouble. I don't think there is that requirement with Canada or other countries, but with the United States, we do need to have those ashes sealed. And they're accompanied by a document that is signed by the consulate saying, indeed, these are ashes.
Aha. All right. All right.
But
Very
for
good.
full body, and this question you asked a little earlier, we have had some of our members shipped full body to the United States. That is an extra cost that is paid at the time of when that happens. Our funeral home knows how to do this. They're fully prepared. They prepare the casket. They do an extra cover, and the shipping is very professional, taken to Mexico City. So that's an extra payment to the funeral home for shipping the body to Mexico City, to the airport, and paying for the airfare, et cetera, et cetera. But that doesn't happen very often because most of our members want to stay in San Miguel.
Okay. A reminder, folks, the video of this presentation will be posted on our webpage in a day or two. So if you weren't able to be here at the beginning of the presentation, or if you have other people that may want to see the presentation, just direct them to our Midday Rotary Club website. There it is. Gina, I want to thank you very much for joining us this morning.
You're very welcome.
Very, very informative, and we appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I appreciate you for having me.
Tom Schneider, do you want to talk to us a little bit about donations and the importance of getting people more involved in our club?
Yeah, thanks, Skip. I was like you said, I think people want to be able to share this presentation of Gina. Rotary goes to a lot of trouble to make sure that we have inspiring, interesting, and if you go to our website, which is Rotary SMA Midday, it's on every document you've ever gotten from us. It's right there. You can click on it. And you go up here on the upper left side and go to this week's meeting or last week's meeting. And I don't know if it's up yet, but we were planning to have a library of all our past meetings. But really, everybody will probably want to do that. If you scroll down the page, you can also get to our club video, which describes some of our projects. And on the way by, really appreciate it if you'd stop by our donate button. It's very easy to donate. We used to have a way to get you to give 50 or 100 pesos of cash, but now you have to go through there. At some point, we'll walk you through. We'll have Ron make a 100 peso donation here, and you can do that. I really appreciate, Gina, how you walked us through your website, but we hope everybody will stop by after the meeting, just go and become familiar and see what Rotary does. Maybe you'll want to become a Rotarian too, but for sure stop by that donate button and donate 100, 200 pesos or more. Thanks, Skip, back to you.
Okay, Tom, thanks a lot. We have some very, very interesting and informative meetings coming up, folks. Next Tuesday, we are going to have a guest speaker on Dr. Jerry Bledsoe. We'll be talking about the myths of the Spanish conquest of Mexico. That's all coming up. Later on March 2nd is going to be a very, very special day. So keep that in mind, because we're going to be celebrating International Women's Day, honoring a lot of the remarkable ladies in the San Miguel area, not to be confused with our Citizen of the Year. That's at the end of the month. But on March 2nd, it's International Women's Day here. On March the 16th, this will be a real exciting one. Dr. Michael Hogan will be speaking about the St. Patrick's Brigade. If any of you have ever gone into many Catholic churches, including our own parochia, and you see a statue of St. Patrick and you wonder, what is St. Patrick doing at a church in Mexico? He'll tell you all about that. So that's coming up on the 16th. And our Citizen of the Year is going to be March 23rd. So we have a lot of things, exciting things coming up as far as speakers are concerned. Club services will be meeting right after this meeting. Thank you all for attending. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.